Throw some chats or love in the chat if you're stoked to be here. We'll just give it a moment, let some people hop on here. Feels good to be doing live streams again. I haven't been doing these for a while. I'm Jason with Devops.com and full stack developer and coach and mentor for our web academy. So helping students all day long learn how to code. It's a lot of fun, and I get to do coding myself, so it's double fun. How we doing in Instagram? Let's see who we got here. Let's see what's going on. Omar, welcome, welcome. And Kit, welcome. We've got Word Emeria. Sorry, I'm sure I slaughtered that one. Flex Stride Boss, greetings, everybody. How we doing over here in YouTube? There we go. I love it. All right, Phosphine 17, what's up? So stoked to be here. So I've been, I was out for a while. I was gone in the hospital for like a month, trying not to die from COVID. But I made it. I'm here. So stoked to be back to the grind with DevSlopes. So we're gonna talk a little bit about getting jobs without a computer science degree, and then obviously if you have any questions about where to get started as a developer, I'd be happy to answer those questions because I'm a self-taught developer myself, and it was rough. It was rough starting out. I learned to code on my own and went down a lot of rabbit holes, wasted a lot of time. So if you're getting into you're brand new, I'd love to give you some direction so you don't waste time, right? Because we want the fast track to success. Let's see. Ashish asks, big fan, sir. Who are you? I'm Jason, self-taught developer, full stack senior developer here at DevSlopes, and I am the Web Academy coach and mentor. So I help students learn how to code, and then I work with them until they land paid work. So I've got a student right now. He's only in, let's see, he's been in our academy for, I think, 6 or 7 weeks now. So he just barely made it through the HTML and the CSS. He's starting a little bit of JavaScript, but he's already landed 2 freelance projects, just building some static websites. And he's made over $1,000 already, and he's only like 6 weeks in. So really exciting stuff. All right. So let's, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer these. Let's see. So End50 or End503 asks, do you need a vast computer background to code? No, you don't. I mean, obviously, if you have experience or anything like that in computers, just knowing how to operate them, your learning journey might be a little bit faster, right? Because you're already used to technology using computers, but you don't have to have a background in computers or code at all. So, I mean, I'm self-taught. I had never seen a line of code in my life, but everybody's got to start somewhere, right? So no, you don't need a background in code. You don't need a computer science degree. As long as you have like a clear learning path of what you should be doing, it's a fairly quick journey to start learning how to code. All right, what else do we have here? It's Amir143. Sir, I'm new to programming. Suggest me a best programming language. There is no best programming language. Programming languages, there's so many of them, and they're used to solve different problems in software, right? So what you really should be asking yourselves is, what do you want to do with programming? Do you want to build websites and web apps? If so, then you're going to learn different web technologies to do that. Do you want to build iPhone apps or Android? So what you need to do is figure out what you want to do with programming, and then that's going to determine what technology stack you should learn. There's no best programming language. But if you're getting started in web development, I would do what's called the MERN stack. That's Mongo, Express, React, and Node. All right. If you're getting into iOS, obviously, well, not obviously, but you need a Mac, okay? Because you're programming Apple apps here, and you'll be learning Swift. If you're doing Android apps, dive into Kotlin. Don't worry about Java. It has a steeper learning curve. Kotlin is amazing. You can write like, a fourth of the code that you would write it in Java, and Kotlin is has really nice, clean syntax to it as well. And that's where the whole Android community is pushing to, is they're pushing Kotlin. So that's what I would recommend. All right, so JS Flix, you are a new person. This is the first time I see you. Yeah, so I actually used to do these live streams all the time. I'm Jason. I'm with Devops. Mark and I have both been doing these streams, but I've kind of been, out for a month trying not to die with COVID. but I made it, and so I'm back. But welcome, JS Flix. Stoked to have you here. You're going to start seeing a lot more of my face than my mullet because I'm taking over the live streams for Mark. All right, YouTube, I'm going to get over here in a second with you. Let's see. Sad Geek says, how long does it take to learn HTML and CSS? So those two, they can be done fairly quickly. I would say, like, if you're on it like 5 days a week, spending at least an hour or two on it, you should be able to get enough of the basics down to be proficient with it in probably 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, those ones are pretty fast to get a grasp on. When you move into JavaScript, that's kind of where a lot of people, when they're learning to code, kind of hit, a wall, because JavaScript, I mean, it's a different ball game, and JavaScript can take anywhere from like 4 to 9 months to become very proficient in it. All right, I'm going to hop over here to YouTube for a second. Let's see what we got. All right. We says JavaScript is not hard, but sometimes it's not easy. That's true. It really depends on the problem that you're trying to solve. At times JavaScript is easy and I can, knock out solutions, but sometimes it's a pain in the butt. There's just so much about JavaScript, about, what tools should you use when and where to solve different things. All right, I am Ankit says, please make some extra tutorial videos on Kotlin, Android, and app development. What you should do is, I am Ankit. You should go to devslopes.com/apply. We've actually got an Android Academy. So you can apply, you can join the Academy, and you'll have a mentor and a coach to work with. And if your goal is to do freelancing or to land a job, the coaches and mentors here at DevSlopes work with you until you get paid. That's the goal, right? Because it's one thing to learn how to code, but it's an entirely different thing to actually get paid for it. What's the point of learning to code if you're not, making money? I mean, that's usually the goal with learning to code. So yeah, devslopes.com/apply. Check out the Android Academy. I'm not an Android developer, so I apologize. I will not be making any Android tutorials. We says Flutter is nice. It is nice. Flutter and Dart is awesome. Is the MacBook Pro M1 good for coding? 16 gigs memory and 1 terabyte. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you could get started with a computer that's way less stats than that to get into coding. You don't need anything, fancy or powerful. Like if you're brand new to coding, I mean, that MacBook Pro with the M1, that's awesome. I mean, that thing is a powerhouse. But if you're just getting into coding for the first time, you don't need to go and spend that pretty penny on it. I mean, if you have the funds, definitely, go for it. But if you're new, start out with a basic machine and then see if you actually like coding. And as you get better at it and start doing it professionally, then yeah, invest in a nicer computer. Let's see, I've already learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Tailwind, CSS, and a little bit of Next.js. Am I now eligible to step into backend? Absolutely, 100%. One of the cool things, Ashish, is with you already knowing like JavaScript, if you're moving into backend technologies, I would highly recommend moving into Node, and then you can use Mongo for the database. But what's so cool about Node is Node allows you to write JavaScript on the server, which is great. You don't have to go learn, a different backend technology like Python or anything. You can do everything in JavaScript, and that way everything's kind of in the same code base. So it's actually a fairly smooth transition from going in web development to go from front end to back end if you're using technologies such as Node. Yeah, you're definitely ready for it. All right, what's up, Billy? Just started college for computer science, been teaching myself JavaScript, but just found out the school teaches mostly in Java. I'm a little nervous. Is Java still a good language to learn? So Billy, this, I would never recommend a computer science degree, okay? And here's why. Here's why. I think it's a big waste of money. And I'm a self-taught developer here, and the entire industry is shifting and it's changing, okay? It's not this crazy, oh, you have to have a computer science degree to get a job, all right? I was a full stack engineer at Dell for several years, self-taught developer, never went to college for anything. I don't have a computer science degree. And you're asking a valid question. Colleges kind of just teach you one thing. It's like, oh, we've been doing it for 20 years, so that's what we're going to do. Devops has actually held coding after school groups and clubs and everything, teaching coding. And here's the thing about college. They're not teaching you the actual skills that you need to be successful in the job market or if you're wanting to freelance. Like, okay, so if you want to do Java, you can work for more enterprise companies. You could do some Android apps. But if you want to be successful at a job, you need to know how to use version control, which you're not going to learn in college. You need to learn how to use Git and the terminal, which they rarely do. I have a friend who went and got his computer science degree, and he says it was just really rough because he'd learn coding for and then they would take a break and learn something else, non-coding related. And then he'd forget everything you learned and then go back. And so the whole learning path that college is providing is so outdated, and that's not how you learn how to code. You've got to have your hands on a keyboard for a couple of hours, every single day. You're learning a brand new language. You can't take breaks for a month. Anyways, Billy, I know I'm going way off on this, but I have several friends and family who have done the computer science degree route. It is slow. You're going to be in debt, and they're not teaching you what you need to know to be successful in the job industry. And that's just a fact. All right, just a fact. All right, so let's move on. Bro, you are so motivated. Awesome. Thank you, Wee. That's awesome. Again, if you want to join DevSlopes Academy, Wee, go to devslopes.com/apply. If you're looking into web development, I would be stoked to be your mentor and your coach. I'll work with you personally one-on-one to make sure you're successful. Okay, Billy, you did get full funding for college. That's awesome. Okay, Billy, I'm going to follow up with one more thing here. Is college is teaching you Java, right? You've also got to ask yourself the question, what is it you want to do with programming? All right, because there's different technology stacks that you're going to be using for different things. Do you want to go work on embedded systems and build, software for rovers that are landing on Mars? Do you want to do game development? Do you want to do AI, machine learning? Do you want to do web, iOS, Android? So one thing when you're learning to code is you should really pick a technology that you're going to be passionate about and excited about, because you're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to get frustrated, all right, and you're going to want to quit. But if you're learning something that excites you, then you're going to have the motivation and the grit, to get through it. But you're awesome, Billy. Thank you for those great questions. All right, let's check out Instagram here. Blurry face. How are you doing today? I'm doing awesome. Every day is an awesome day. No complaints. What else do we have here? Welcome, everybody. Hey, do you think it would be better to go for Android or iOS in the long run? Sam Blake, that's a great question. That depends on you. If you're an iPhone user, then I would recommend going iOS. If you're an Android user, then go Android. Okay, because you're going to be building apps. Obviously, you bought iOS or Android because you prefer one over the other. All right, so whatever phone platform software that you're using, you should go and learn one of those. Now, with iOS development, you have to have a Mac, okay? Apple, they force you to use their stuff. And so you do need a Mac. But the cool thing with a Mac is you can develop for any platform. You can do iOS, Android, or web. You can do anything. With Android, with Windows, you can do Android and web. All right. And one thing I will favor iOS just a little bit, because Apple has done such a good job with Xcode, which is the text editor you're going to write code in. It does so much heavy lifting out of the box for you. And their debugging tools and the code completions and the suggestions. I mean, Apple went to town on that stuff. So iOS is a really cool language to learn, and it's a lot easier, in my opinion. Elkanah, I resigned from my last front-end job for 3 years. I know how to code, but I can't pass interview in live coding because I'm doing Google and not really remembering syntax. What do you think? So this is so ridiculous, Elkanah. You've got such a great point here. Like I'm a senior developer. Okay, I've been doing this for 6 years. I know my way around. But these coding interviews where they're doing like live coding, in the real world, you Google everything. All right, programming is so like big. You can't remember everything. I mean, there's the basics like with syntax and certain libraries and tools to use. But I feel your pain. I experienced the same thing. What you can do is I would start doing things like there's codewars.com, there's Project Euler, and these other things that give you coding challenges. I would check out that because enough of that doing these coding exercises is going to get you prepared and ready for some of the cool coding quizzes that they do for you. And it'll help you remember syntax a little bit better. But yeah, I feel your pain. I think that's a ridiculous part of the interview process. I understand why they do it. But as a developer, you are not doing live coding with project managers standing over your shoulder. You're spending 90% of your time on Google. So anyways, let's see. In this 2021 year, being a front-end developer, is it still worth it? Absolutely. So the thing with this whole 2021 and even 2020 with this whole pandemic that's hit, it has forced so many people to the online space. All right. And there has never been a greater need for developers than now. And being a front-end developer, absolutely still worth it. It's a lot easier to get into the industry as a front-end developer and then work your way into back-end. All right. There's very few companies that are hiring for like a junior back-end developer. I mean, think about it. You're dealing with people's, data and information, and they don't want some newbie poking around in the database, screwing things up. So yes, front end, get into it for sure. Again, if it kind of sounds like you're maybe doing web development. If you need a guided learning path or need to brush up on front end, devslopes.com/apply. Check out the Web Academy. I would be honored to coach and mentor you. I work with all my students during all freelance projects they're trying to do. I help them build resumes, LinkedIn profiles, how to work with recruiters. And basically, I work with students until they get paid because that's why we code most of the time. All right. Blurry face, YouTube. I'll hop over here in a second. Let's see, no entry-level roles for MERN stack, how to approach a company as a fresher in React. So I would just look for jobs as a front-end developer. So yes, there's the MERN stack. There's also the mean stack if you want to jump into Angular, but I would dive in to a front-end technology. If you're really looking to get into and I wouldn't Google specifically MERN stack because that's with, Mongo Express and using Node for all that server-side code. Look up front-end roles for React developers, all right? And one of the, just do that. Look for a front-end role in React. All right, let's jump over here to YouTube. Let's see, we says learning code and writing is an addiction for me. It is. So like I learned to code and it was cool. It was a lot of fun and I like to do it. When I dove into React though, like, man, that's when I got super passionate about coding. And I started spending all my free time reading documentation on different frameworks and things about React. It's addicting. It's super fun. Let's see, Sun 9097. What do you prefer, Golang or Rust-Lang? You know what? I have never used either. And I've heard of these technologies, but I haven't, dive deep into the technologies or even built a simple program in any of these. So I don't have a preference. All right, Alalik Ward, I'll graduate from college in 2022 March. I've mostly been doing data science, but lately heard from, let's see, senior share of data science firms participating in placements round is less. Oh, hold on, I've got to pop up there. Let's see, so you graduated from college, or you're graduating in college here in 2022. Been doing data science, share data science firms. I'm not sure I exactly understand the last part of that question. The sentence, just reword it for me and I'll answer it. Is WordPress a good skill as a freelancer? It is. It is as a freelancer. So I haven't done freelance for a while, but I did freelance for about a year and a half, solely freelance. That's how I provided for my family. WordPress, here's the thing. When you're landing freelance projects, time is money. So when I was freelancing, yes, I did a lot of WordPress sites for just really simple websites because I could knock it out fast. I could, bid out the project, make a quick few $1,000 and have the project done in like a week. I'd also encourage you to know programming skills like, HTML, CSS, React. You could go into, Angular, React, anything like that, because you'll find when you're freelancing, building software versus little quick websites, they're nice. They're, quick, get it done. But software is where the money's at. So I did a lot of these smaller websites, but I landed a software project and it paid out just over $100,000 in 9 months because it was software. I mean, this was full stack. This was front end, back end. I built the application using Angular. It was a fairly, large project. So I got 2 other developers to help me with the project, but software pays out. Software pays out. Let's see. What else do we have here? Your computer, Caleb, your computer was breached. What do I do? I don't know. Buy a new one. Let's see. What bare minimum tech stack must I learn to web developer job as a fresher, some experience working with JavaScript, HTML, and Bootstrap? So as long as you have HTML, CSS, and are proficient in JavaScript, you're ready to get a job, okay, as a front-end developer, as a junior developer. Now, obviously, the more you know, the better. But the great thing is, like, if you're proficient in JavaScript, picking up another framework or technology like Angular, React, or Vue, anything like that, it's really just learning a new syntax. So it's going to be a lot quicker to pick up. So I would say definitely you're ready to do it, to start looking for work. Drupal, I love your answer. Go buy a new one. Yes, that's right, Caleb. Just buy a new computer. I don't know. Google it. So this is what you do as a developer. Problem solving here is Google. What do I do when my computer is breached? Tushar, Spring Boot, the future. You know what? I haven't. So I know what Spring Boot is. I've never learned the technology. I've never looked for a job using Spring Boot, but it's one of those things that in my experience, so I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say it's low on the radar, but my experience in the programming industry, I get spammed with recruiter emails every day saying, oh, please check out my email. I hope this finds you well. Come, check out this job. I've never once ever received one that's looking for Spring Boot in my experience, but I know there's companies using it. Tushar, basically Java is the future. It can be for enterprise companies. I mean, it is the future for whatever company is using that, but there are so many other programming languages that is the future as well. So a lot of good programming languages out there. Let's see, we've got 5 minutes here. And we're going to wrap this up. I don't have time to get to all these questions, I'm sure, but I will do my best to get to some of these. Let's see, Afnan, I want to work as a freelancer. Should I learn front-end web dev with a few skills of WordPress? Absolutely. Yeah. So like I mentioned with freelancing, time is money. If it's a quick website that just needs to be up and running for a client, like maybe it's a landing page for like their landscaping business or bakery or something. Yeah, you use WordPress, knock it out in a few days or a week and get paid. It wouldn't make sense to do some custom built React or Angular website for a simple landing page. I would save those technologies more for if the client needs a super customized solution that WordPress cannot accomplish. But having programming skills, that's where money's at. That's where the money's at. Ashish, they ask a lot of stuff for internships. They do. I took on a few internships, but I mean, yeah, they were good. Tushar, full stack or DevOps? I personally, I mean, both are great routes. Again, my experience in the industry is in some cases, because there's so many automated processes that are coming out, I see less positions for DevOps because of these automated systems. Now, I'm not saying DevOps is going to be obsolete or anything. There will always be a need for that, but I'm just seeing the demand for DevOps is getting less just with automated systems. And full developers, I mean, everybody could use a full stack developer. Let's see, Jose, is it common for iOS developers to learn both Swift UI and UIKit before job hunting? All right, so I've done a little bit of iOS development, and I have some friends and family who do iOS development. So I'll answer this to the best of my ability here. So Swift UI, you're seeing a lot more in smaller companies or startups. Okay, it hasn't 100% been, adopted by all these, different companies as the go-to language. UI kit is also really good to learn. I would say Swift UI, most companies that are hiring for iOS developers, very, 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 very few of them are using Swift UI, but you definitely should learn it, but don't make it your priority right now. Just learn the latest Swift, get UI kit under your belt, start job hunting, and in the meantime, learn Swift UI, but don't make it a priority. Angular versus Vue. So Angular is end-to-end solution, okay? So what that means is it ships with all the tools that you need to cover DOM manipulations, which is like client-side code, all right? And all the tools and everything you need for the backend, like all your HTTP requests and all of the API stuff. So at the same time, Angular has very, very strict and disciplined practices, and it has unique syntax that is only specific to Angular and nothing else. And you're also using TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. So there's a very steep learning curve with Angular, and it's end-to-end solution. So it covers everything. It's a very heavy framework, whereas Vue and like React, this is just a library for front-end UI. It's a UI library for DOM manipulation. It has a syntax that is more familiar with JavaScript. All right. Angular is fantastic, but if you don't need this end-to-end solution and you don't mind the learning curve, if you're experienced basically with program, if you are not a beginner, then go with Angular. You can still learn Angular as a beginner, but it's a steeper learning curve. That's what I did when I first got into coding. I was brand new to coding. I was still trying to, learn JavaScript. I jumped into Angular, and the learning curve was so steep, and I couldn't draw the line between Angular-specific syntax and practices and JavaScript. You'll do a lot of Googling with Angular. All right, it's time now. I'll take on like 2 or 3 more questions. Redux versus Recoil. I've never used Recoil. I've used Redux. I like Redux. I think it's great. All right, Instagram. I'm going to give you some love here. Let's take on a few more questions. Yeah, we'll take on a few more questions, and then we'll wrap up, and you can see my face tomorrow. All right, so what are the best educational YouTube channels in your opinion? Well, you should always check out devslopes.com, right? Go to DevSlopes YouTube channel, youtube.com/devslopes. We've got tons of tutorials there on web development, Android, and iOS, and then there's a few other tutorials there. But I like, what's his name? Brad Traversy. I think he's an excellent teacher as well. He's got a lot of videos. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube videos anymore. I more so read documentation. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Steph Shear says PHP. Yeah, people use PHP. It's kind of old and outdated, but a lot of companies are still using it. If you're brand new to programming, I would not learn PHP. It's just unnecessary. There's other technologies that have solved problems that can do what PHP does and more, and has a cleaner syntax. Not saying PHP is bad. Lots of companies, or there's a handful of companies still using it, but you don't need it as a beginner. All right. Someone's asking me that they're, let's see, looking at a laptop. Would you recommend a Lenovo or Dell for a beginner? You know what? Because I worked at Dell for a few years as a full stack engineer, I'm a little bit biased for Dell. Not biased, maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe it is. I like Dell computers. I mean, there was only like 2 of them I used while I was there, but it was the first Windows computer that I've ever used that just, I felt like it operated how it should operate. I don't know enough about Lenovo, so I can't really give an opinion there. But really, if you're a beginner, like any computer is going to be fine. Let's see, is there any chance to get the 30-day challenge less than 100? No, there is not. There is a reason why it's $100 and it's not less. Because think about those cheap Udemy courses that you buy. Do you finish those? Or are they just still, there at like 1% complete? All right. And there's a reason it's not free for the same exact reason. So it's $100 because it's just enough to put some skin in the game and keep you motivated, because you're going to learn so much and you're going to get so much out of it. So that's why it's $100. It'll never be discounted. It'll never be free, because it's for your own good. So you can feel that you put a little bit of skin in the game to make sure that you're, rocking and rolling, that you're committed, that you'll commit to something. All right. So that's a wrap, everybody. Again, I'm Jason, senior full stack engineer over here at DevSlopes, also coach and mentor for the Web Academy. If you're new to programming or, need some help or assistance, go to devslopes.com/apply, and you'll get a free call set up with one of our career coaches and help you decide if DevSlopes is or is not for you. All right. So devslopes.com/apply if you want some really cool coding challenges. We've got DevSlopes has coding challenges for JavaScript and Swift. Go to 30daycodechallenge.com and get set up with the next event. Let me just check out when the next event starts here for you. Internet's trying to load here. I'm doing too many streams at once. I'm sure it's in a couple of days. If it doesn't load in 5 seconds, I'm going to end it now. Okay, 5 seconds is up. It's being too slow. So anyways, 30daycodechallenge.com. Check out when the next 30-day code challenges are happening. I'm Jason with DevSlopes. See you next time.